password in, but it was like her name instead of the password. I bet that's what you did.
Should I get out and go back in?
No, it's all
No,
good.
it's funny.
I think I can name. I think I
I was
can
like,
rename you.
wait,
Actually.
why does it say probe?
Here's the first.
Hold on. Let me do this. There you go. It should be fixed. Did you see it? Did it get fixed?
Yay, the good Denise. The good Denise is coming, and not the Denise Lana.
Okay. So how's everybody doing? Let's see. Here's I gotta keep on top of these here. Jane, is your audio working? Can you hear me, Jane?
Jane.
She can't hear me, or she's not talking.
Y'all are all garbly. You're all garbly.
No, you're gurgly.
So what I asked, what I wanted to do to get you guys together and things like that, and you've all been so kind to respond and help out and things. You all know that I'm, I try to raise funds for Give Kids the World every year, as do the majority of you all here too as well. And I've been doing it now for, let's see, I started raising funds 5 years ago. I think I've been going 6 years now, the event, or maybe it's 5 years to the event, 4 years. I can't remember. Anyhow, the goal is to raise funds for Give Kids the World. And as some of you know, and some of you saw this week, they're kind of struggling right now. They actually just laid off about 120 people or so. There's about 20 something left. And Give Kids the World really needs the help right now to raise the funds. It's something, I after seeing the campus and things like that I'm passionate about, and as all of you here, all of you here have seen the campus. You know what I'm talking about. It's all for the kids and how the amazing job that they do there. So what I'm trying tonight, as opposed to selling tickets and all this kind of thing and being a formal, Hearts of Reality event, I've just gone ahead and taken it on to myself here to try to raise a little bit of money. Hopefully people are going through the honor system and pay through that and things, but we'll see. So far, we've actually already raised a little bit. And so, hopefully this will help out there. So I truly 100% appreciate your time, your friendship, your helping of Give Kids the World. It's just an amazing thing that you're all doing and have done for the last several years. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks for having us. We all love you. You are a good dude, and any way we can help, we are all over it.
I do what I can. Hey, there's Leaf. Leaf is coming on board. Okay, so what I did then is I called this the Survivor Decades show, whatever. I'm stuttering over myself because obviously our range of people here is a large quantity of people that range from the OGs, all the way up to the newbies, at least to season 30, right, Nina?
Yeah.
You're our newest, so you're new school with an old school heart.
Yeah, with an old school heart. I was just about to say that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, she's part of us.
Yep. So real quick, as some of these other ones have started, I'd just like to get an idea. What have you guys been up to these days? What's going on? How's things? Not necessarily with the quarantine, but how's things in life? What's new and exciting? Let's start with Nalia. She might have some. She might have to break off a little bit here and there. So let's start with Nalia.
Well, speaking of, I had to come into work. We own a food truck that's named after Survivor Marquesas, which is kind of fun. We started up on the side and it just kind of took off. So we run a food truck, so that's exciting. And then I don't know, just always looking for the next adventure. We take our kids out of school third term and move to Costa Rica. So we're kind of in love with traveling still and just exploring and kind of giving kids lots of cool opportunities, because who knows how long they'll be around, right? Who knows how long it'll be cool to hang out with mom and dad. Got 3 kids now and been married to Chris for going on 17 years. So it's hard to believe it's been that long.
You must have got married when you were 10.
I know. Well, glad you say that.
I didn't know that you actually moved to Costa Rica. I just thought you spent weeks and weeks and weeks down there.
Yeah, we pull the kids out of term or out of third term, and we just go stay there for a couple of months. So we just figure they're learning so much stuff there. We do a little bit of homeschool, but for the most part, they're kind of learning about, the environment and all the survival skills that they need, right?
Yeah. Yep, and your pictures are always amazing of those sloths.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with those guys.
What part of Costa Rica?
So we've been all over. We've been all over the place. Our favorite is probably more like the Guanacaste area, so the Pacific side. But
Nice.
yeah, there's not really a bad place to go in Costa Rica. We love it. So yeah, if you guys ever need tips, hit me up. We'll tell you all like the inside places to go.
I've been to Tamarindo a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's so much fun.
Yeah, further south is great because then you see more of like the wildlife, the sloths and the rainforest and the
Yeah, it's
jungle and
beautiful.
all of that. Tamarindo, you don't quite see as much of that. And it's a little bit more touristy up there, but it's still really pretty.
Yeah.
Nina, how are you? What you and Dan been up to these days?
Oh God, what are we up to? Well, I mean, I've been really busy. I lost my dad a couple of years ago, so I've been taking care of my mom. So that pretty much occupies most of my time, taking care of her. I mean, she's self-sufficient, but she still requires a lot of work and help around the house and stuff like that. So in January, my loving husband built me a home gym. So I now do not have to go to the gym and share squat racks, weights, dumbbells, all that kind of stuff. It's really nice being able to work out at home, especially during lockdown because all the gyms were closed and I didn't have to worry about it. I never got to work out whenever I wanted, any time of the day. And I could wear whatever I felt like wearing, but that was nice. And then, just running. We were training for a race, but that got canceled. We ended up training for a 100-mile race. I was going to be a pacer the last 6 miles, which was kind of exciting because it was all downhill. The last 6 miles, I was excited about that, but that got canceled. So we're hoping the race season will start up again by the end of summer, early fall, and we can start running our races again. So, I mean, between my mom, working out, I still do volunteer work with Cochlear Americas, helping people decide on getting an implant and what all that involves and all that kind of stuff. I've been kind of busy.
Good. And how's Dan?
I'm still at work, Dad. Yeah, nothing changed. Really. Works every day. And running. And staying out of trouble with Nina.
That's good. Cool. Let's see who's next here. Judd, how you been? What you been up to these days?
Oh, just been quarantined over here in Jersey. I'm with Kristen, who's back to health. She had a few brain surgeries through the past couple years and getting her back to shape and back to her in form. And we got this little guy right here.
Aw, cute.
Just waiting for Manhattan to open back up.
Yeah. I could believe
Don't know when, but hopefully soon.
Nobody else from here is New York, right?
We're actually right over the bridge.
I'm literally about, maybe if I was to drive, we did a couple days ago, about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just drive.
It's like a ghost town over there, though.
Oh, man.
And everything's all boarded up. It was like a war zone. We were there, what, a few days ago, right?
Last Saturday, we had to go pick
Yeah,
up
last
some
Saturday.
medicine.
Like
Actually,
a war zone.
Tuesday.
Fit there, everything all boarded up.
It was insane.
Yeah.
We had to pick up my medicine, and yeah, thank God for him. I had a few brain surgeries. They placed it's called a neurocase. It's a pacemaker right here in this part of my brain, and for my seizures. And
Now I just can't shut her up. That's the problem. I don't have any button to turn her off. She never stops talking.
And then the one quick
I got
question.
the tail end of that one, Bob.
that was always a problem.
Sorry, I am so not used to this. This is crazy. I haven't done enough of these.
This one's chill. But you get the lighting behind you, it's all angelic and stuff, you know.
Yeah, I did that on purpose.
Judd, the question I have real quick for you is, did you ever find that rainbow bagel?
You know what? He wanted me to, they had called me. They said, Judd, are you going to be available? I'll, stay in the city for a couple hours. I said, where are you? He's like, I'm in Brooklyn still. I'm like, dude, for you to get back from Brooklyn, because the president was coming to town or something, it would have took about 5 hours to get back, and I get off at 3. So no, I never got that rainbow bagel, but actually he left a piece for me the next day. Kind of ate the whole.
Cool. Let's see.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for
The
for
other
asking
people,
about my
everyone's
bagel.
probably thinking like, what the hell are you talking about?
For those that haven't seen it,
Yeah,
there's
I'm
a
kind of
video out
thinking
there.
that.
What's his name? Is his name Zach? I think it is. Zach.
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, he's like a YouTuber, right, Jason?
Yeah, I think his name's Zach. He's got cerebral palsy. And and so he was making a journey across town to go find a rainbow bagel. And
He's pretty funny.
yeah, it was pretty good. And Judd was the star. Okay, let's see who's next here. Jane, how you been? We're garbly though, so she.
Jane.
I've been doing great. It's just for some reason every June the shit hits the fan. Everything breaks. Something killed all my sheep the other week, and
Oh.
hadn't found out what did that. And got four-wheeler back working, getting ready to cut hay, growing some pretty puppies out. Got a few kids want to come to summer camp, so I might do camp in a couple of weeks. Nothing much.
Wow, that's
Farm life, always something to do.
Sounds like quite a bit.
Yeah.
What
Sounds
killed
like-
your sheep? What killed your sheep? Did you found
I
out?
don't know what killed my sheep.
That's crazy. Now I think
No, we
that's
hadn't
basically-
found out. Killed my whole flock.
Aw,
Oh,
sorry.
horrible. Well, good to hear from you, Jane. Let's see. Let's get another guy. Roger, how you been?
Doing fine. Spent all day yesterday on a tractor mowing hay, similar to what Jane is doing. I got the bright idea last year to build a wedding venue on my farm. So I got the blueprints, drew up the blueprints myself and subbed it all out. And 7,000 square foot. Got it open February the 23rd. Got a bar area, kitchen, and a Amish built gazebo out back. Got it open February the 23rd. Of course, they shut everything down right after that. So I've yet to have one event in the facility yet.
We're gonna have this group right here. We're all just gonna go there and when the quarantine's over and have a party.
Well, you may be seeing me in jail because come August I'm going to open it up regardless. So whether they like it or not.
We'll have Bob bring the lobster.
There you go. Yes.
Tell him
to put a file in that.
There's a lot of business owners opening up, you know. The
Yeah.
bills are still rolling in and there's no income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob will bring the lobster. Nalia will bring the corn dogs. Sandra will bring the mofongo. Yeah.
And just
Lex
put a
will bring the
file in that
band.
lobster.
I like that. I like that plan. We have the technology.
Hey,
You'll bring the hay, Jane?
Sandra,
Is
what
that
are you
said?
bringing?
I bring the hay.
Denise will bring the beer.
Absolutely. I'll be drinking the beer. Never mind.
Judd will bring the rainbow.
Hey, how you doing?
Now, sounds like Jane can bring a lot of lamb. Sorry. Oh, that's terrible.
Lex, that's too soon, buddy.
Oh, sorry.
Lex, too soon.
Sugar, is that Punky Jean there?
That is Punky Jean. Say hi.
Oh my goodness, she's getting so big. How you been, Sugar? What you been up
Say
to
something
these
so
days?
we can see you.
Sugar, what you been up to these days?
Just, nothing much has changed for me because my husband's still working, and then I've been like basically a stay-at-home mom because she's not even in school yet. But now I think I'm more of a Peg Bundy than like a 50s housewife. But I think I'm going to homeschool her for transitional kindergarten. She's not old enough for kindergarten. I don't think what's the point if they have to go to school in masks. I'm not going to put her to school her first year in a mask. That's crazy.
Yep.
Either Leah or Bob. Somebody's really, really windy.
Who's windy? It's Bob.
That's a,
It's probably Bob.
Oh no.
Yeah, the pre kindergarten. We had my son in that for a while. You're fine. Doing homeschooling, that's great. Great. Excellent. And then you're hanging out with Rachel and her kiddo.
Not really that often. Haven't seen her in months. And then the last time we had a conversation, I was like, I'm kind of considering getting pregnant again. But then that was like right at the beginning. We didn't know the virus was going to be like the pandemic, you know, that it isn't.
All of their stocks down there.
But then less than a couple of months later, she's pregnant and on and doing interviews. I was like, I didn't even know. Like, I didn't even know.
Let's see. Back to another guy. Leaf, what you been up to these days?
Having babies.
What's up? I know. And been busy with my baby. Hey, babe, can you bring the baby?
Baby, bring the baby.
Yeah, no, things have been just crazy. Just with this whole quarantine stuff going on, just been out of work for like 3 months now, and but it's been was gonna plan on buying a house, but
Well, and
that's
didn't
all
you
on
just
the.
start up a job you really love too?
Yeah, that had been going. I've been managing a lot of people at this big company, MFRG. So it's a great company to work for, and they really take care of us, and it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it. But yeah, then they shut everything down, so everything's been still shut down. So it's like
Sorry to hear that, but at least you get to spend time with your kiddo.
yeah, no, I mean that's been a great part of it all. Just getting to spend time with the family and seeing the baby and seeing all the milestones that go by so fast, because it really goes by fast. They grow up way too quick, and yeah, but I love it. Just gotta hang in there, right?
Yep, exactly.
When was the last time you slept? New baby means no more sleep.
Nah, just nah. So far, all my babies that I've had, well, the 2 babies that I've had, they sleep through the night. They don't even wake up. They're good. They sleep 8 hours, so 8 or 9 hours. So it's super easy.
How old are the other ones?
I have a 10-year-old. Well, she's almost 11, and then my fiance, she has a 8-year-old and a 19-year-old and a almost 21-year-old. So
Yeah, full house.
Wow, that's a huge difference from a brand new baby to a 19-year-old, and then it's like no way to start brand new.
yeah, we're like the Partridge Family, right?
Okay. Excellent. That's good. That's so great. You're a new dad, though. That's so much fun. You know?
Yeah, thanks, man.
Let's see here. Who am I? Let's go. Denise.
Yo, what up?
How you been? I know who you've been. I talked to you last week.
I know you did. Yeah. Like the regular. You keep popping up. Yeah.
Denise was my roommate last year at Give Kids the World.
Where sugar? You and me.
Stoner roommate. Ah!
And Jane. Oh, was Jane our roommate too? I call her
Naked.
Naked.
No, Sandy.
Oh, Naked Sandy.
Naked.
Whoever it was, I don't know. They kept walking around naked.
It was definitely Naked Sandy.
It was weird, right? It was so weird.
So what you been up to, Denise? Let everybody know.
Nothing really. I just been working. I might be laid off next week again though, so we'll see what happens. And yeah, nothing.
Yeah. This
I had
is
to bury my dog today. It was sad.
What'd you say in the last part?
I said I had to bury my dog today. It was very sad.
Oh, I know what that's like. No,
dude, condolences.
Little puppy.
Yeah, Sandra just lost her dog recently too.
Yeah.
15, little wiener dog. So cute.
Is that the baby there?
There's a real baby.
Beef?
Nice.
There's the baby.
Oh, itty bitty. Look at those cheeks.
Hi. Wow. Hello.
Good, you've been upstage, Denise.
That's okay. Babies open up, fool everybody.
Until they start crying.
My daughter's 24. It goes so fast.
Yeah, it really does go by really fast.
Our oldest is 25.
25.
1 pound when she was born. It's only 1 pound, 13 ounces.
Wow.
20 pounds.
She's so
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
My oldest is 48, but I had her when I was 7.
Roger, you animal. Well, speaking of older kids, Lex, how are you doing? And how's your family and your son and that kind of stuff?
Doing great. I'm still living out here in Santa Cruz, California. Kelly and I now are going on just about 30 years of being married, so that's
That
still
woman
going
deserves a
strong and
medal.
good.
She
Sure does. She sure does. And my boys are. What's that?
Dad and I just celebrated 25 years.
Oh,
2 weeks ago.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Nice.
Hey, when it's when it's good, it's really good. And I feel like it's every year is a little bit better than the last one, and it started off really great. So I'm definitely feel like the luckiest guy around. And my boys now are not boys no more. They're 26 and 28 years old. So I got men now. Other than that, I'm still playing in a few bands and just working.
Great. What's the latest band?
The one that I'm spending kind of most of my time with right now, I'm in a instrumental surf band here in Santa Cruz called Fascinating Creatures of the Deep. We toured Italy about a year and a half ago, which was brilliant.
Nice.
So,
I did not get my coffee machine yesterday like I was supposed to. It's still not here today. Disappointed.
Amazon.
Aw.
Yep.
Did you order it on Amazon?
And yeah, I ordered it on Amazon April 1st.
Right?
Dang.
What's that?
I said River's in a band too.
We're going to make it up to Santa Cruz to watch your band. I've been wanting to do that, so we are going to do that.
Yeah, yes, and Leah, yeah, River's actually in a couple 3 bands. He's got one band. They've put out at least 7 or 8 albums.
Yeah,
They
one
get
is-
covered by Pitchfork and Consequence of Sound, and they actually River was supposed to go on tour. He was supposed to do a European and a Japan tour this year, and they both got canceled because of the pandemic. So hopefully he's gonna get to he'll pull off the hat trick that his old man didn't. I'm hoping that he can make his living playing music rather than doing it just for fun. But I think if anyone could pull it off, it's him. He's brilliant.
Yeah, I like his stuff.
So good. He's
Good
so
music.
good.
Okay, let's see, Bob. You're having fun out there?
I caught the first part. What was?
Let's see if you're alive and kicking. I guess you're just kicking.
I am alive. I am kicking. Yeah, and I feel slightly guilty because we are social distancing here on the pontoon boat. I have been. I'm gonna, jump in with a crowd. I was on the tractor all morning, but the Paige and Peg wanted to bring out some friends to go for a quick ride on the pond. So a lot of you have been
Run around pond.
watching it, been here.
Yeah.
So
I've been there. I never been on your boat though, Bob.
I have not been there,
I
but
feel like I'm missing out on something.
You had that puppy hid.
Hi, Miss Peggy.
Yep. How you doing,
she's
Peggy?
driving, otherwise you'd be stuck in the bushes someplace.
Better let her drive. She's smarter.
She probably got the Zoom worked
And
out.
better looking.
That's true.
See, it's always one of the good things is when I start getting to know you all, it's like I know Tammy and Todd and I don't know. I've never met Kelly, unfortunately. I only met Kristen briefly. I've met Dan and well, I met you. Yeah, sure, of course.
No, but I met her. I
met
think
me.
we were neighbors at Give Kids the World in our little signing booth.
Yes.
Yes. Hi.
And Peggy, it's like so. It's kind of fun to get to know all the spouses and things like that too.
Remember when you picked me up from the airport?
Yep. Well, I brought you to the airport. But yeah.
Oh yeah. You saved me, bro. You saved me.
Hey, it's all in the day's work. Besides, that was a great ride.
That was fun.
A lot
That
of
was fun.
insight, and you get to know you some. That was wonderful.
All right.
Let's see here. So Bob and Peggy, good. And everybody's
Right.
riding tractors. I sat on the couch and watched a movie. Does that count?
Yeah, everything's fine here.
Drove a tractor today.
You did too,
Yep.
Denise?
I did, yes. I mowed all the fairways and I mowed all the approaches this morning.
I think Judd really was riding around a tractor down in Manhattan too.
I got a question.
Oh,
Is anybody rewatching any Survivor season?
Actually, I'm watching my own, which is a little
Yeah, of course you
narcissistic.
are.
yeah.
Man, I did a good job.
If it weren't for that that cute blonde girl, I wouldn't be doing very well.
Couple of seasons. Lara's, my daughter's friends, because they're now like in their 20s, so some of them never saw Judd's season. So we were watching, we were watching his season, so they didn't
That's
realize
okay.
that he was, his season. They're asking to watch it, so we were watching it, laughing and stuff.
Right.
It was pretty fun.
Since I recently,
Jason.
since I recently hosted the Thailand and the China reunions, I binge watched both of those seasons again. It made me pine for the days of old, The good old
Yes.
seasons.
Hey,
You know,
Jason.
which is
Jason.
all good, yeah.
So we just started watching my season with my little girl. She's 10. And it's so funny because a couple nights ago she went to bed crying because we voted Gina out. I'm like, baby, it's been like a lot of years. It's okay. She's like, but I love her.
She was one of my favorites too. I cried.
I
for
know,
her,
she's
too.
so cute. And then
I cry when people go out. I don't even know.
Yeah. Then they've been watching Boston Rob, on our original season, and they're like, he doesn't even look the same. I'm like, well, he was younger.
Boston Robin is dad bod now.
Yep.
When you were hanging out with them, Sandra, out there, and your idols and all that kind of stuff, and with dad bod and everything, I'm like, dude, he's like me now.
Yeah. Sandra fluctuated
out there because we were both overweight.
Okay, let's finish up the last two here. Well, not the last two, but you know what I'm saying. Tanya, how you been?
Good. Just working from home and waiting to go back to work. I'm excited to finally get out, hopefully in the next few weeks. But yeah, just bored working at home. I've got my puppy and he's just turned a year old. So just hanging out with him and Todd.
Your pictures are so cute, Tanya.
He's mean as a rattlesnake. He's cute. And it's a good thing. 'Cause he's
He
mean.
slays me. His face slays me every time you post a picture of him. He always looks so cross. He could honestly give Grumpy Cat a run for his money if he started his Instagram. That dog is a star.
Hold on, I'll wake him up and show you. Hold on.
He's priceless.
That's like Phoebe from Survivor Australia. She has a.
Oh yeah, he just looks awful.
He's always pissed.
You see, you need to set up an Instagram account like Lex is saying, because Phoebe from Survivor, Australian Survivor, she's got one for her dog. Ollie the Border Collie.
He has one. It's Cash Money the BG, which is Brussels Griffon, which is his breed. So y'all need to go follow him.
Looks like a Mogwai from Gremlins.
I made a hashtag for my dog as well. Major P pants. Major P pants. Hashtag Major P pants. He's the reason I got on Survivor, you guys. He's the reason I got on Survivor. I was in a picture with him on a pinup calendar, and somebody found me for a different show for CBS, and then the dog is on his last leg. He's like 16 years old.
Yeah, she's had him.
Puppy too. He's on a lot of drugs all day long.
No, I didn't miss anybody here, did I? I mean, I got everybody's responses, right?
Sandra?
Sandra, yeah.
But I'm not doing anything.
She's making that cash. She's making that cash.
Signing sassy graphs every day, all day.
Check
Whoa. Okay, Sandra. So Russell Hance had me, I think Lex did this too, like he had you rank who you think the best survivor is or whatever, and I was like, oh, he's gonna hate my answer. I'm like, Sandra is always the queen, and so you'll have to watch for it because I gave you some props.
Okay, so Sandra, what you been up to though? You've been busy. You've been on like 500 seasons now, right?
Yeah, yeah. You guys know I work from home, and then on the side, I'm always peddling my sassy graph autographs. Fans can't get enough of me, and my walk and talk with Sandra or high tea with your highness, all that stuff.
Thought I do Survivor.
That's it.
She's a hustler, you guys. She's a hustler. You got to respect that shit.
Gotta hustle. Gotta hustle nowadays.
On the side, I do a show
you do,
called
sir.
Survivor.
Yeah, and Kristen was the star of that season of Guatemala. Yeah.
No.
So it's great to see.
What?
I was just saying, it's great to
rewatching-
see how everybody's doing, and you know, and we're talking over each other. That's okay. No, God no.
Oh, okay.
No,
We just
no.
started, sugar.
Relax. I was just getting relaxed.
Kid really doesn't want to be. Not kidding. But it's always good to see what everybody's doing these days. You know, a lot of people don't know, you know, how people are doing, especially from the old seasons and things like that. And it's really good to see. You know, season 30 is one of the last seasons I absolutely, you know, I really, really enjoyed a lot. You know, overall, no, not dissing you, Sandra, but you know, so it's good to have representation from seasons, you know, all across the board here. You know, so I asked you guys ahead of time if you had any like questions for your peers there, your colleagues that you might never, because some of you might not have ever met before, or you know, seen, you know, or been, you know, connected before. So I'm just going to ask it real quick. If nobody has any, we'll move on. But anybody have a question for somebody else on the panel? And then Nina.
I have a question for Sugar. This is like totally off topic, but she said her dog's on a bunch of drugs. How do you get him to take all those medicines? My dog's on 2 right now, and I've hid it in cheese balls, peanut butter, and she's not eating any of them.
He's
Now
on
it's just
5
up and down
twice
his throat.
He's on 5 different things, 5 different pills twice a day, like a half a pill, you know. And so you have to crush it up. I crush it up every day, and then I heat up the little bit of dog, because he only eats dry dog food. So then I give him the wet dog food. That's like a treat. So that's it.
You know what? I'm gonna try
I
it.
heat it up, but
a
it
little.
is still dog food.
Yeah. Good. Thank
When my dog was on medicine, all I do is put the pill like in a roll of ham or turkey or whatever. I just roll it up and I push it in there, and that's it. And I do the peanut butter. I'll just jam it in a thing of peanut butter, take it and go, and that's it. And then
I tried that. I tried everything today.
Right? You look so.
I mean, I even jammed the pill down her throat, and she still managed to get it out. And she took a little dog
to do that.
Did you try a hot dog?
She's not doing very good, so she's sitting on my.
Did you try a hot dog?
Who's Birdie?
Yeah, buy some hot
I
dogs.
did not try a hot dog.
Did you try shoving it in a hot
I'll
dog?
have to try it. I'll just have to try a bunch of stuff. But you know what? Making it hot might trick her into thinking it's people food.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, hot dog is.
But
But I
if
mean,
you take the hot dog and you cut it, and then with the
Hey, you should jump up there.
those things, you stick it in there and you pull a piece of the meat out, and then you stick the pill in there, and then you cap it off and shove it in their mouth. And then give them another one, so they hurry up and eat that, and they'll swallow the next one.
okay, I'm gonna try that then.
So
Okay.
Good,
Look
guys.
over my
Dan, you had a question.
dogs, and one of them will not eat any medicine at all, and Birdie will eat everything. Right, Birdie? Oh, you hungry?
Well, there's 23 comments. Tanya, you had a question.
Yeah, so mine is for the queen. I want to know, like after everything happened with Denise, if you guys have spoken since, and like if you're okay.
Oh yeah, I'm okay. It took me a bit because right immediately after it happened, I needed therapy from Dr. Liza, like for 3 days straight, no lie. And I would always say, like, why would anybody need therapy? And I needed therapy. And it wasn't even about edge of extinction because I don't lose sleep over it. It was just the fact that, again, you think that these friendships outside the game translate into the game, and they do not. So,
Lex knows that feeling, unfortunately.
but at the end of the day, you know, I wish I did have a time machine because I would go back to day 16 and stick to my strategy of, as long as it's not me, not give a damn who goes home. And I would have been okay.
Yeah.
And Sandra, we still love you. We love you.
I mean, if the fans like me, no matter what I do, they're behind me all the way. They know that Edge of Extinction is a twist. I did get voted out of the game, so it's not considered a quit because it was a choice to participate or not. But if they hate me, then they just look for any excuse. You get what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Not every fan likes me, and I know that, just like not everyone eats strawberries. That's what I always say. So it is what it is.
Okay, Sandra. Sandra, I have a question for you. So how is it playing? Like everybody always asks, like, do you think as an old school player you can play in this new school world? What do you think about the players, old school versus the new school? Like, are they really that like brilliant, like so great at strategizing and blindsiding? Like, really, what's the difference?
No, I think we hold our own. And a lot of people say that Winners at War beat old school versus new school, which it did not. I mean, no one out there was saying old school versus new school. You know, Amber went home because it was Amber and Rob out there. It was two of them versus one of everyone else, you know. Tyson went home because of what he was doing. It was never, and they're both old school. You know, had I known we were supposed to all stick old school together versus new school, it would have been a different issue. But it just happened to be like that, and people assume that it's old school versus new school, but it had nothing to do with it. It had nothing to do. You know, Danny not trusting her alliance because they didn't speak to her fast enough. You know, that it just didn't have anything to do with it.
Interesting.
I've got a question for Jane.
There was that poker alliance, you know, between.
Yeah. Roger, you got a question for Jane?
Yes. Are you still doing that PX90? Jane?
I'm running up and down my steps and running 3 miles, but I'm not doing P90X anymore. No.
Yeah, nobody does P90X anymore.
I still run 3 miles.
I just rewatched her season. I have so much
Pick up
respect
enough
for Jane.
hay.
Sugar, I'm 100% with you. I've
She's
always
so
said
tough.
I
Oh my
always said
God.
that she is one of the toughest female competitors that's ever been on Survivor.
Jane, whoop whoop.
Jane, I don't know if you know about the show Alone, but I honestly believe that Jane could go and do Alone. There's a TV show
Yes,
called
she could.
Alone. Jane, that show is for you.
Yeah.
And it was on last night, and I watched it. Yeah, and a guy lost his fire starter of all things.
We're watching it too. We're like watching all the end of the world things to learn how to survive.
I'm looking at the stream here. There's some people talking and stuff. There's Cindy Shaw, you know, Manny and Cindy. She says hi to everybody, basically. Hi, everybody. And she says, Leaf, your baby's precious.
Thank you.
All that kind of thing. So, and Jimmy from Australia, you know, you all know Jimmy. He's joined in, you know, and looking here to see if I can see any other questions. Don't have any questions on there right now, but that's okay because I've got so many here. Anyhow, okay, good. Any more questions for yourselves? Again,
I've got a question for Sandra. Sandra, did anybody that was on Edge of Extinction come up to you and tell you that they were jealous as hell that they didn't make the choice you made?
Oh, right.
You just don't know. Almost every single person pretty much said, but that's after the fact, after they didn't make it back into the game, said, I don't know why I was sitting out there. I should have been in Australia with you. All they did was suffer, and then people quit fishing because 2 people would go out fishing while everyone else is plotting on how to get an advantage, or if something was going to happen that would help them get back into the game, hoping they'd get the $2 million. So no one was doing anything, and all they were eating was this like little scoop of rice. And they were like, all they wanted to film was us being miserable, you know, at our lowest lows. And I'm like, girl, I was shopping. I was all
That's why you're still the team, baby.
Yeah, but that's after the fact. Like me, after the fact, after what Denise did, I have my regrets, just like after the fact when they realized they weren't going to get back into the game and they sat out there for nothing. But I do have to say this. Had I known that I had made the jury, I think my decision would have been different, because I could have just sat out and not done any of the challenges on the edge had I known. But no one told me anything. You know, it was like, I'm not going to be here. I'm leaving. They're like, okay, go.
Well, you know, I had your back on that one, and I actually thought it was one of the smartest moves in the game.
I appreciate it. I mean, that place wasn't easy, and before I left, like I started to walk off, and Natalie was like, Sandra, can I have your no, what did she do? Yeah, Natalie needed my pants, and I was like, here, you can have them. And then Danny was like, can I have your top? I gave her my top. I left my jacket. Amber got a pair of someone else got a pair of my sneakers and my socks. I just left with my top, my shorts, and well, my shorts were my panties. I couldn't take those off. I left everything. I just took my top, you know, and my shorts, and I walked off. And I was like, you guys are gonna need it, and I was gone.
Here's a question for y'all. How many of you still get recognized on the street, like every once in a while? Like, you know, like you're walking around and somebody says, "Hey, you're so-and-so from Survivor."
I got recognized today for the first time in a long time, and I had on my mask, and and like I said, for those that were watching, I went and bought a new computer today because this one was acting up and I needed a new computer, and this one is from 2013. So I told my husband, let's go get a computer. So we went on the base and we walked straight into the store, straight to the computers. I didn't look around. I didn't make eye contact with no one. I just went into shop. And this lady comes from behind and touches me, and I look, and she's like, I know you probably get this all the time, and I'm sorry, but are you Sandra? I know you're Sandra. And I was like, how did you recognize me? She was like, we're huge Survivor fans. The other lady said to her, Sandra just walked by. She's like, Sandra who? Sandra from Survivor. She's like, no, what would she be doing here in Texas, you know? So they followed me to make sure it was me first before, and then they heard me talking to my husband about the computer, heard my voice, and knew for sure that it was me. But I'm like, how the hell? My mask is all the way like over here, okay?
James
Hey.
to herself. Who else got recognized?
I got a funny
He wasn't
story.
gonna say it, but Judd does.
Well, I work in a hotel in
Judd works in
Manhattan.
a hotel, so.
In Manhattan, so I work the front door. So, you know, once in a while, I'll turn that $5 into a 20 easily.
I know that's right.
Easily.
Ain't no shame.
Easily.
Bob, you said you had a funny story about this?
Yeah, we moved out here to the farm about 6 years ago, and I've been going to the Napa store to get parts for the car and the tractor and stuff for 6 years. I've been dealing with the same guy for 6 years. Well, a couple of weeks ago, because of the corona, I go in like this. And I walk in through the door, and he goes, hey, where'd you get that material? I go, what material? He goes, on your face. I said, they gave it to me. He goes, oh my God, are you the guy that was on Survivor? I said, I've been coming in here for 6 years. I had a mask on. You completely blown my whole, bank robbing, potential.
I see you had the same face mask as me. Great. Let me check a question here. Jimmy had a question. Let me pull it up real quick here.
And then I have a question.
Oh yeah, Cassandra, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I want to know, like, from Judd, if he was rooting for Danny or Leaf, if you were rooting for Kim. Who else had somebody out there that won?
I couldn't
know,
root for
who won
Todd,
your
he was on
season?
there.
Oh,
who
for
won
this
your
season?
I was at
Kim-
first, I
Kim
did an
won.
interview and I was rooting for Danny, but as the game went on, probably the first episode, she got very awkward. I was like, what? It was very awkward that her social game was very bizarre. I was like, what's going on with Danny?
She was real sick. That place had her real sick afterwards for months.
I mean, I was after day 1 or 2. I was like, wow, she's way off. Like, she's very socially awkward, and she was like, out of the picture, and in nobody's alliance. Nobody was talking to her. So, I was like, I kind of had a feeling that she wasn't going to last too long.
I think she also gets one of the worst edits for a winner.
And then I started rooting for Sandra.
I'm sorry to let you down. I'm sorry I messed up.
No, you did good, my friend.
Who else you had Leaf with Kim?
I know.
Kim Leaf?
I know Kim was on my season, and she won my season, but I was definitely rooting for Tony. But
But you didn't know Tony, right? You don't know Tony.
no, I don't know him. Hopefully one day I'll meet him. Seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah. And Lex, were you rooting for Ethan?
Of course, Ethan's my boy. He's my brother. Of course.
So were you devastated when he was back on the edge?
Please
I was
note the
bummed. What's that?
That
It's
also,
either,
Nice. Oh, there we go. Africa represent. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I was I know how much he wanted to go back. He's been wanting that for so long, and he worked. I mean, nobody worked as hard as he did to go back out there. And I know that he had a lot of like fears and anxieties, having been a two-time cancer survivor, and then putting himself in a situation that admittedly might have been pretty risky for him, but that's how bad he wanted it. He wanted it so bad. So I hated to see him, get that earlier boot. I was hoping he'd come back. That would have been a great redemption story there.
well, he also had one of the best scenes in the entire season, one of the most emotional scenes. That's I mean, going back to old school Survivor, when you cared about the characters, it's exactly with what happened with Ethan this season. It's like they spent some time and they said, look at the struggle and all this kind of stuff. And that's one of those times you're like, get a little dusty in the room.
Yeah, no doubt.
Fine. Hold on.
So let's see real quick. I got a couple questions from some people here. Jimmy asked,
It's not me. We can't figure out whose phone's ringing. My daughter's FaceTime. Sorry.
The question Jimmy had is, if there was a Survivor International All-Stars season, in other words, Survivor Australia versus Australian Survivor versus US, A, would you want to participate, and B, do you think we'd win or them? Sandra's no.
If it's in Australia, they're very physical players. I would never go. Now, if they came to the U.S. and played our version, then yeah, we could probably do it. But I would Survivor Australia, and you have to be fit. Like, you have to be a beast to participate in their challenges.
Denise, you had something to say there?
Yeah, Bob went to Africa, right, Bob? When with Jimmy and those guys, and you actually went against the guys from Australia, didn't you?
South Africa.
in South Africa.
Yeah.
And I was representing and coaching the players, and we did very well.
But the South Africans won.
I wasn't going to mention that.
I got a couple of Australian survivors. Oops, sorry. I got a couple of Australian survivors to join in this year.
I know Michael from my season did that Naked and Afraid. He said it was like 100 times harder than Survivor.
Oh yeah.
So that's like the real deal.
Andrew from Big Brother also did not Big Brother, from The Amazing Race also did Naked and Afraid recently, but he did it just as the coronavirus happened, so they cut up his time and took him out of there, so he got lucky. But I actually stumbled across Michael's episode of Naked and Afraid, and I'm like, and I watched the whole episode, and I'm like, I know that freaking dude. I know that dude.
It was a good episode.
And then I'm like, oh my God, me and him, when I went to Washington State, we did an event together. And I'm like, oh my God, but it did not click. I watched the whole damn episode and was like, I know that guy, but where do I know him from?
Sandra, if you'd look him in the face and not at the blur, you'd probably remember who he was.
No, I mean, when I'm watching Naked and Afraid, I'm not like right there. I mean, come on, Bob, come on.
Actually, Leaf, I did that. I had that piece of trivia last time when I was at Hearts. So sitting there, minding my own business, and Fair Play and Bischoff were recording their podcast right next to me, and they were talking about that, but they couldn't remember Michael's name and stuff. They're like, "Yo, Rasmussen, what's the name of the guy on Naked and Afraid and Survivor?" And it took me a minute. I'm like, this, and they're like, oh yeah, it's great, yeah. So I won that Survivor trivia today.
Nice.
Hey Jason, let me ask you something. How did there was a group of Australian lacrosse players. They were from a high school in Australia, and this was about probably a year ago. And they came off the bus, and I had mentioned to them. I said, "Yeah, one of my friends, Russell Hance, he was on your Survivor in Australia." I said, "How did he do?" And they were like, "Oh God, who that guy? The little guy?" Oh, he went quick. Did he go quick over there?
I think first.
Second.
Oh, second?
Yeah, his team won the first time, so he was the first person.
Yeah, he was the first one voted out of his tribe, but it was the second person voted out of the game.
He was.
Yeah, because the girls, I mean, all of them at the same time were like, "Oh," because I was telling them I was on Survivor, and Russell was also on the American version. They were like, "Oh, no, the little guy. Oh, no, he went right away. I don't even think they knew who his name was."
He was extremely jaded about that. I mean, like so jaded. He went on a rant on YouTube and was like this and this and this and this.
When is he not on a rant about something?
Yeah, right.
Always trying to make himself relevant by dogging every single survivor he could dog out. I mean, that's just how he does it.
Well, I was bad mouthing him because of what he did to Kristen, actually. Yeah, at the Hearts a couple of years back. It was Kristen, right, Judd?
I'm right here.
Right here.
With Russell Hands. Yeah. You pushed you and all that kind of stuff, or pushed into you, or pushed you.
Oh yeah.
Pushed who?
He did. Russell.
Pushed you?
Yeah, I was on that. That's what I. You're with me. That's what
It was I thought it was Lori and Bubba's wife.
Oh, maybe no. Was it Bubba's wife? It might have been Bubba's wife, actually. Now I'm thinking about Anyhow, he's
you're starting bad.
I would have known if Russell pushed her, believe me.
It was like a bar fight. Like it was a big
Trust me
deal.
on that. Yeah, I would have definitely known that.
I just heard something different. Yeah.
I fell on that skateboard. That's why he's thinking.
Yeah, no, it was that scooter, James.
I was on that scooter and I fell on that scooter and I had a black eye. Remember?
Gotcha. Yeah.
You thought Russell
You didn't push me. I was on that scooter.
No, she fell off. She fell off.
Whoop, Judd was about to go.
Yeah.
I figured it was Melissa and Nina and Roger that started that bar fight.
I was on that scooter thing.
Troublemaker.
No,
The hoverboard,
Brandon-
the hoverboard.
The hoverboard, whatever it is.
Hover.
Brandon and I, we were on the same interviewing process to be on the on one of the same episodes. So I got to semi
You
meet
met
him.
Brandon before Brandon.
Yeah, right.
Apparently he's doing better though. I mean, he's doing his tattoos are out of control, but he's
Yeah,
doing
they're crazy.
podcasts now, and I'm hearing some decent things. And hopefully, he pulled his life around a little.
Well, I had a talk with him on his podcast, and
yeah?
he's a real gentleman.
You're the only one.
Don't interrupt,
I
Brandon.
did his podcast too.
Oh, then you and Lex are the only two.
No, I think you're right, Bob. I think he's come a long way. He seems to be pretty well together now, and I actually thought he did a really good job with this podcast. I was surprised.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job with the podcast.
Yeah,
that's good to hear. I like that. That's like Fair Play. You know, I know Fair Play had problems back in the day, but I'm glad to see he's done much better with his life.
How do you ever get that name?
Wait, were you guys talking about Russell or
I have a
Brandon's
question.
podcast?
I'm having with Ethan
Brandon's.
and
I
Hans.
think he's good. He's a good host.
Yeah.
I did it.
I have a question. I just read that with the shirts.
No, they're here.
Now Hans stole the shirts. He stole the Lex is saying yes, he did.
Oh my God.
Stole
But
those?
can you really call it stealing if one person makes one shirt and then you make another one?
Wait, though, for real?
I mean, it's bad. It's a little bit bad form. I mean, can't you have a good idea yourself? Like get your own good idea. You don't have to steal someone else's idea. I mean, Ethan, that's Ethan's thing, and he's raising money for charity and whatnot. And then Hans, decides to make a new school version, but it's the exact same logo. I mean, just make your own. Make a new one.
Oh,
Your new school, be fucking new school.
Fair Play is the same. He's selling the I Love Rob shirt with a thing over. I mean, come on.
Well, but that's a joke. That's a funny.
Is my picture from my Facebook. It's my image,
Somebody else took, and that's their. Yes.
You know he only makes like $2 a t-shirt.
It doesn't matter. He needs to ask people or like.
No, I agree. I agree.
I see a lot of Australian.
Talking shit right now.
Australian.
Who else you want to talk shit about, guys?
Yeah, we're just dogging folks, right?
It's not like it's being broadcast or being recorded or anything. It's okay.
Y'all gonna hear about it.
A couple more questions here, quick. Just got a few more. Let's see. Out of 40 seasons, which player would you like to see play again that has never been a returnee? Tina.
Bob Crowley.
Let's see. Nalia.
Nalia.
I'm looking across my rows here.
Well, I'd like to see him play.
Roger.
I would love to see play again.
Are you talking to me?
Did Chicken ever play again? I'm sorry.
What happened?
Chicken Morris?
You remember Chicken?
Girl, he'll never play again. Come on, he's not Chicken Morris.
He's a good guy. I like him. He's a dummy. He helped me.
Never
I
know.
would like Judd to play again.
Had to go. Yep.
Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you, Jason.
Let's see. This one might be a little biased since we have a few of them here. But who is your favorite winner? I'll mute your. I'll mute Sandra and Bob and them for a couple minutes here. And that's
I have a lot of favorite winners. But as far as who I think, in my eyes, who I've always given a lot of praise to is Tom Westman when he won Palau. Like, he killed it from the beginning all the way to the end. Like, he had those people in line. It was a team. But that was old school, you know. That was back in the day. So since his season, I've always thought he was great.
I like that.
In my opinion.
Yeah, Tom did a good
Well,
job.
look at Chris Doherty. I mean, he's a winner that 7 girls left and 1 guy. I mean, if that's not an amazing. I mean, how he won that is just beyond me.
I agree 100% with you, Judd, on that one for
Well,
sure.
you guys were in
I
the
mean,
jury.
it's a mental game. I mean, you got 7 girls and 1 guy. I mean, to stick around for that many more days to win the game, to me, is just amazing. How he was asked.
But in Vanuatu was just an amazing season in the first place. Yeah.
I know.
Well, if you watch Chris the first episode, I thought he was going to be voted out first.
He was supposed to go too.
Because he couldn't walk across
Yeah,
that log.
they couldn't finish that challenge. Yeah, they couldn't. They kept going over and over again.
Yeah, I thought Chris was gone at day 1, and to come back, like I said, with 7 girls, because it is a mental game. I mean, you know, and just to come back and win it is, to me, was just like, whoa.
Charlie's not a bad winner.
Say thank you, Sandra.
Thank you, Sandra. I only did it once.
Yeah, Bob's was great. That was a great win in that one.
Bob's the only one that loves everything I say, all my political crap.
Me too.
That's because I love both you and your political crap.
Hey, what do you guys think about having the final 3 rather than the final 2 they used to have in old school? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I like the final 2.
I like final 2.
It seems like that third person never gets a vote. Like, I just feel so sorry for him just sitting there, like,
Yeah, that's
getting dogged on, like, no votes thrown their way.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they still make it to the final 3. There's still a lot of people that wish it was them because they got 0 votes. So,
right.
It seems like that happens a
The
lot.
guy that does everything that doesn't get any votes.
Well, plus it's the thing that, you know, you got the 2 people. I mean, they've worked. I mean, the third person is incredibly hard to do, but you've worked so hard to get to where you are. It should just be one versus the other, David versus Goliath, whatever it might be. Having 3 is just kind of like you're just throwing an extra little thing in the mix. There's just too many twists and craziness these days, in my humble opinion.
For a loop, if they went back to old school now, like they get there and they're like, what? No idols? What are you talking about?
I gotta, I don't think that since they did the final 4, now you get to pick who goes to the end and who fights for fire. I think that is the worst ideas ever.
Oh, I hate that.
I hate that.
Absolutely.
If it was,
That was so entertaining though, watching them build fire. That was to me that was the best thing. That was the best thing to watch ever.
Can I ask a question for the old school? Well, because I've never played the game, but I've also, Judd's season, God forbid, Judd got a lot of fights with Jeff because people were speaking. You weren't allowed to say a word. You had to be completely silent. You can't say a word.
At tribal council.
Tribal council, okay? Now everyone's like, oh, wait, blah, blah, blah. Now
I hate that too.
you couldn't
Because
say a word.
I want to be able to hear what they're talking
Well,
about.
I like now that they put the subtitles. That really helps a lot. But before that, it was
Okay,
awful.
well, this is the one reason why Judd didn't get along with Jeff, because he spoke and said, oh my God. So,
Is that what Jeff sounds like?
Typical New Yorker.
Are you saying Judd voiced an opinion? No way.
So let me ask you, when you are, you know, everyone who, especially Sandra, you were in the last, you know, you could speak now and whisper. So as a fan and not being there, what do you do? Like, does he just sit there and allow everything? And
Yeah, they say that they call it tribal council being fluid. People changing their mind last minute, you know, maybe there's whispering and then people change their minds, or maybe you know, they weren't sure about what they were going to do, so they allow it. I don't like it because back to old school, you should already know what you're going to do before you even step foot in tribal council. It should be a done deal. But, you know, I hate it because I'm like, what did they say? What are they saying? What the hell is she saying? What is she?
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand why Judd, you know, had an opinion, because he would get in trouble and doesn't, you know, is got a loud mouth because he was getting in trouble because he did open his mouth because he was so miserable in 150-degree weather in Guatemala. So, you know, people don't understand that, but, you know, like he's
I
doing.
like to see the scramble. I like to see the scramble at tribal council and see them all running around, going crazy. It's good TV.
Yeah,
They
I
feel
like
crazy
it
as
too.
a player, but I enjoy watching it.
So this is why we need to get Judd back on, so now he can be really Judd and start speaking.
I could really be
And
a
really,
Judd.
could he be
That made me fire.
vocal?
Just watching them make fire.
I don't mind them whispering at tribal council, but I want to hear what they're saying.
My husband got me a flint. It's a keychain.
Nice.
He just walked away.
Nice. That'll help.
And also Hudson. Okay, I asked my question. Sorry.
I got one that I thought might be fun there. Now let's see here. You know, first off, just a couple things, you know, about Survivor and the old school in particular, especially. I'm not trying to diss the new school, but things about the old school. Again, it goes back to the character, the people, what they're about, the mix of different people as opposed to 20 different models and all like 16 different models and that kind of thing. So one of my strongest early recollections of this, not recollections, but favorite parts of the show is Roger, actually. You know, Roger jumping off the cliff. I don't know how many of y'all remember that and things, but see, I have a fear of heights. I don't like heights. And Roger jumping off that cliff was one of the highlights of Survivor history for me, in my humble opinion.
Scariest thing I've ever done in my life. I've never ridden a roller coaster in my life. I don't plan on riding a roller coaster. So jumping off a cliff, plus I had had an in-ground swimming pool behind my house at that time for 12 years and had never been off the diving board, had never been down in the deep end of the pool. And a week before I left to go to Australia, my daughter said, Dad, you at least better learn to jump off the diving board. Of course, the diving board's about 3 feet off the top of the water. So I got to where I could jump off the diving board and dog paddle over to the side. I never could make it all the way to the end. So, but there again, you know, those of you who've been on Survivor, you prepare yourself mentally, physically, and mentally is just as big a part of it. So I prepared myself. I said, you know, if any of the rest of them can do it, I'm going to do it too. So, but I did not enjoy it.
I've always applauded you for that, though, Roger. It is amazing moment, you know, and it's weird for me to say that I'm proud of you, but you know, this many years later, but you know, that was
thank you.
Wow, dang, dude, you know, I don't know if I could have done it.
Can I ask him something? Or do you still stay in touch with Elizabeth? Because before Pascal and Malia, it was you, Kentucky Joe, and Elizabeth. So I loved you two. And do you all talk?
Well, no, actually, we don't keep in much contact. I will hear from her maybe every 2 or 3 years, maybe. And been to New York. I was on The View. I was a surprise guest on The View, I guess was the last time. And I just seen her during the show then. We didn't go out and eat or anything like that. So no, we really don't keep in contact.
Well, y'all are some of my favorite. And then Pascal and Malia, like I adored those like alliances.
Yeah.
Again, that's what we're missing these days. You know, we're missing the, you know, if anything else, the father-daughter kind of connection, all that kind of thing. And, you know, that's one of the things that was great about the old school and things. Hey, Lex, I've got one for you. Now, when you were one of the very first people I ever talked to on Skype, the first I think Billy was before you. But I think you were second, and all this kind of stuff. But the question I asked you then, which I love the story and I love to retell it to other people, is I asked you about the threat of the Lions, meaning that I asked you, was it played up or was it real? You know, how real was it? And you gave me this is the most amazing answer to this question. If you remember.
I'm trying to what was amazing about my response? I mean, I can tell you it was an amazing experience, but was it about the time that Mark Burnett came?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I mean, you guys know that Burnett. I mean, I don't even know if Burnett goes on location anymore, but back then Burnett was really super involved in every aspect of it. But one thing that never happened is Burnett would never show up to camp. You know, you'd see him at tribal council, you'd see him at challenges and whatnot. But after, I think we'd been in the game maybe a day or two, and we just didn't take our survival training super seriously. They had given us, you know, all this training on how to build a proper wall out of thorn bushes, and the whole point was to keep these predators out. But we all thought, it's a TV show, there's got to be people, you know, off to the side there with guns. They're totally protecting us, and it's 120 degrees and it's too hot, and I don't want to build this wall. So we built a little wall, like a little baby 4 or 5 foot wall instead of like a 7-foot wall. And then sure enough, the Lions, that like second night, the Lions showed up and they were literally right on the other side of the wall trying to find a gap to get in because we smelled like food. And we realized at that moment how much we'd screwed up because we looked at the all-night kind of camera crew that was there to film us, and this poor guy looked like he had peed himself. He was mortified, and I thought, well, I maybe there's nobody with guns out there watching us. And the next day we got a visit from Burnett, and he laid it out. He said, yeah, there's nobody out there, you know, guarding you guys, or there's no armed support. The only time you guys have armed support is when you walk to tribal, you know, when the sun's going down, because that's when in that tall grass, there's bound to be animals there, lions and leopards and whatnot, but we don't have an all-night crew watching. And so I don't want to I'd hate to send one of you guys home in a body bag because you didn't build your wall right, but I'd be furious if I have to send one of my crew home in a body bag because those people are my employees and they got families at home and they're here to do a job. They're not here to play a game for $1 million like you clowns are. These guys are they're my employees. They work for me. So he says, you guys have one day to get that wall straight or I'm going to shut this sucker down. Oh, it was pretty sobering.
That one blows my mind.
That's what I was in they had the producers come up to my camp because I would jump in that water because Cindy was a zookeeper. So, and you know, there was crocs all over the pond or whatever. And I said, Cindy, I got to go take a dip. You know, I got to clean clothes. I got a lot of things to do. So, you know, I got caught in the water a couple of times and they came up and they sat us down and said, listen, I'm going to tell you guys one more time. If you guys go in that water, you're not going to make it out. And, you know, they were starting to get really pissed off at us too. But then we had a croc cage though. We won a challenge finally that we didn't have to swim, but they came up to us too, Lex. They came up, was like, listen, buddy, you better stay out of that water. I'm telling you right now. And they were all pissed off.
Croc cage? Like, did you catch a croc?
No. It was like
a shark cage.
It was like a shark cage, but I don't know if a croc was to get it. It looked like it was just made out of like little wire. I mean, we went swimming in it every day, but if a croc was to come by, I'm sure he'd chomp the wire out. But when it was that hot, you know, and you got to keep close to last in the game.
You had a barbecue in that thing, didn't you, Judd?
What's that?
You had a barbecue in that thing, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a blast over there. I had a barbecue, stole everybody's beer, blamed. I was like a party at one time for me.
But somebody did either lobster or steak or something like that too.
I had a steak, a lobster. What happened was Jeff was like, Judd, you can sit here and watch. Everybody can watch you drink and eat until the bars close. Now, if anybody knows me, I don't leave until the bars close anyway. So that was easy for me. And then, you know, they warned me that, oh, they're going to be pissed off when you go back to camp. I'm like, nah, man, I'll make a party out of this one. Oh yeah, me, Stephanie, and Bobby John. And it was funny. there was a craft there. You know, who's ever, we all know that water, you know, fresh water is the best, but it wasn't. I thought it was a craft, and I thought it was just sparkling white water. So I chugged it. This is how it all started. And it wasn't. It was wine. So I'm just drinking the whole day, and I'm just, because I haven't drank, you know, in like 20-something days, and I'm like, wow, water, water, water. And it wasn't. It was the whole craft of wine went down in about 2 seconds.
Now this one might be a little bit biased here, but the question here, like Denise, I just rewatched China, as you know, and everybody over here knows now. But I know China was one of the worst conditions of any of the seasons of Survivor. It just mud and guck and nasty and all kind of stuff. But Sandra, you've been on enough seasons now. How what was like one of your worst seasons there for conditions?
None of them.
None of them?
Don't
No,
care.
Fiji was beautiful. Samoa was beautiful, and Panama was beautiful.
Yeah. Anybody else
Heard-
have conditions as bad as
There
Karina?
was mud, and we had people's hands, and every splitting, they were all white. It was so like nasty. We didn't have any, couldn't get dry, couldn't have any fire, nothing. It was crazy. At one point, the producers all left, the camera guys all left, and we were just under a tree in a thunder and lightning monsoon. And you know, the wind was whipping, the rain, like Forrest Gump, you know, it's coming up sideways every direction. It's fucking crazy.
Well, Lex, you guys had the nice.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'd pick Africa 100 times over any other location. I loved our location. It was so different. I mean, it could have been it wouldn't have been any more different if it was on another planet. It was, for all of us, it was just so, it was intense. All the wildlife and, I mean, just the power and the soul of that place. If you've ever been to Africa, it's like, there's something about that place that's incredible. It's indescribable.
We had a Black Panther in our camp when it was just me and Maddie. And it was just me and Maddie, and Bob was off on, Bob's gone now, but Bob was off on reward with Crystal and Kenny. And it was just me and Maddie, and there was like, we could hear it breathing, and they like had to call in the people and stuff. But it was like me and Maddie, you guys. Like, Maddie's not gonna protect me. I mean, I was like hoping it wouldn't come near the fire or whatever. But like, and plus it was just us, and he would just like propose to his girlfriend, or I don't even know if that had happened yet. But he was just like, didn't want to be alone in the in the thing with me. So he was outside by the fire. But then at one point he came in, he was like, I can hear the thing.
That's what you need in China. You get Sugar Shack.
Sugar Shack.
I will tell you, when I stayed there with him and I slept the night there, those howling monkeys, I tell you, I don't know how they stayed there the whole time. They were literally hanging, like screaming at the. It was the craziest thing.
Well, you had those two in Thailand, didn't you, Tanya?
We had some monkeys, but they were more thieves. They weren't really screaming monkeys. They were
screaming, howling. It was insane.
We thought like production was stealing our stuff. Like, if you notice, like on a lot of the challenges, Helen has 2 different shoes on. Luckily it stole like a left shoe and a right shoe, and it would like throw them in the ocean. And so every time we'd leave, it would steal stuff. So you'd have to take your stuff with you almost everywhere we went, because the monkey kept stealing stuff. But we did have a king cobra that was like over 10 foot that they had like a snake handler come and get, because they were like, okay, they breed wherever they are. And it was scary as crap. And I remember they caught it, like it was like a high guy that came in and caught it. And CBS was like, no, we want to get more film of it, so let it go. And they were like making it mad, and then they couldn't find it again. It took forever for them to find it. And I was like, catch that thing. Like, it was crazy.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
We had a nest.
I said it for a long time that you are the winner of Marquesas, and all that stuff. I love Vesepia. She's really nice, but I've always thought that you should have took the trophy there. When are you going back?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'd go back in a heartbeat. I've been called back a couple times, but it hasn't worked out, unfortunately. But yeah, it's actually really crazy to go back and watch my season now, because mean, when I played, I didn't know anything about Survivor. Like, I didn't know I was supposed to talk to the camera and tell them all my secrets and stuff. Like, I was always afraid they were going to, like, go back and tell the players what was going on. So, I mean, going back now, there's, like, a lot of things that I would just do different. I was such a different player than what it really showed on camera. I didn't take credit for things. I was just super wanting to be nice to everybody and not wanting to hurt their feelings and not say anything, you know, on air and all of that. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to go back and watch it now with my daughter, because there's times where I'm just like, oh, like it just almost makes me cringe because I just feel like I'm so different than like how I was back then. But I mean, that's with everything. Everybody would go back and play a different game. 18 years ago, that was a long time ago. I was a little girl back then. I was the first one to ever, I was the youngest girl to play at the time. So there's a lot of things that would be different if I had a chance to go back out.
Too. I feel exactly the way.
Back several times. That's good.
Yeah.
Have you changed up your strategies over the years, Sam? I mean, I shouldn't say have you changed, but I know your strategy is to just be further in the game, which works, obviously, except for one small hiccup. But have you looked at the approach that Nalia's talking about the Pearl Islands versus any other seasons and changing your how you
No, that's what I tried to do at Winners at War. I wanted, because everyone's like, oh, her strategy is always as long as it's done. I was like, okay, I'm going to change it up a little bit. This time I'm going to play with my heart just a little bit. And look what that got me. So if you have a winning strategy, stick to it. Forget what anybody else says on social media or everything else. Because at the end of the day, whatever you're comfortable with, that's what works for you. That's what you should stick to, because that's what you know best. So don't change for anybody. You play your game the way you want to, and that's it.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Oh, that's why she won twice, dude.
Lex, you were saying something. What were you going to say?
What's that?
You were saying something. You were going to say something.
Oh no, we were having snake talk about the in Thailand the king cobra, and I was just remembering in Africa there was at one point there was a snake they're called a puff adder. They're like also super poisonous, and they actually put themselves in the middle of pathways so that things bump into them, and then they can. That's part of how they hunt. But we found a nest of baby puff adders in our camp, and we knew how dangerous those things were supposed to be, because they told us if you get bit by one at night, it's probably over, because we don't have the anti-venom here. You have to be helicopter evac, and they didn't fly the helicopters at night. So they're like, if you get bit, make sure you get bit during the day. But anyway,
we have 30 minutes.
We have this nest of baby snakes, and Tom just grabs one of them. And he's holding it, and you know that baby snakes are like even more venomous because they don't know when to stop. And he's just holding this thing, and the camera guy just freaked out. He's all, "You guys were told not to touch any snakes." And Tom's like, "Well, hell, I spent when I was a kid, I used to catch rattlesnakes, and we'd sell them for $1 a piece. I caught 20, 30 rattlers a day with my friend, my friend's whatever his friend's nickname was, and he says, "Yeah, ain't no thing. I got this snake." And they came over and just chewed him out, because he just picked it up and put it down, and he picked it up again. He's like, "I know snakes."
That's crazy. It sounds like Big Tom, though.
That's Tom.
Hey, Nina, I'll bring this question up to everybody, but I've talked with you before about this, of course, this being a social game and all, it went a little further, I think, in your case. You got bullied and all that kind of thing out there, by one particular player who I'll remain nameless at the moment, but you got bullied out there, and not only by this player, but also by production too, didn't you?
Production.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it was what it was. I'm over it now. But the hardest thing was the first day for me. I kept trying to talk to people, and no one literally would talk to me. They would look at me and walk away. So Will came out and talked to me while I was out there, and I was so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, we get to talk gameplay. I was so excited. And he's like, "Can I ask you something?" I'm like, okay, someone wants to talk to me. He just wanted to ask about my hearing and how I lost it and stuff. And so I explained it to him real quick, and I said, "Okay, can we talk about the game?" And so we did briefly, but I mean, there were times I asked, like, "Hey, can I help you with the roof?" And they literally took their hand and said, "No, just go. And so it was really hard the first day. It was hard to even be social. I was trying to be social, but it's disheartening when people tell you to go away and they don't want to talk to you and they like look at you in the face and turn around and walk away. So what do? I mean, I can't like get in their face and like, look, bitch, you're going to talk to me. You know?
You find the weak guy.
I guess I could have. And actually, I'm a pretty bossy person. If you ask anybody I know, and all my friends and my family will tell you I'm really bossy. So I really tried not to be a bossy person.
And shaking the 10
like
pounds.
if I played again, I probably would play a little bit more bossy. I would be way more in your face. Hey, come on. I mean, the nice guy didn't win either. But it's hard. It was hard. It was hard because I think I was prejudged on the fact that they thought I couldn't hear when I could hear, but I don't hear as well, you know. So I was just, you know, they really, and then production was like, well, Jeff especially kept trying to say it had nothing to do with my hearing. Well, it did have to do with my hearing because I was told that. I was told within seconds of getting on the beach. Joe came up to me and asked me if I could, he said, could you even do challenges? And I said, what do you mean, can I even do challenges? Of course I can do challenges. And he goes, well, what if you need to hear? And I'm like, well, I can hear with these, I can hear fine. What if it's this, what if it's that? And I'm like, dude, I can do challenges, you know? So even coming home, he told me, he was the first person I called when we landed. And he told me right away, he said, I saw you and you were old and deaf and I was gonna vote you out. And I said, well, is there anything I could have done different that would have made you wanna keep me? And he said, no. And he was one that I had in final interviews, saw him and thought, oh, he looks like a nice guy. If we play together, I'm going to try to play with him. And while we were out there, I did talk to him. And I tried to talk to him into being in an alliance with me, but he just wasn't going to do it, you know. So it was just like, if they could have just gave me a little bit of a chance, or if they could have just talked to me. I mean, Vince did, but it took a while for me to convince Vince, like, to talk to me and let me be in an alliance with him. Right. He wasn't real open about it, and he just would ask me, why do you want to be in an alliance with me? And I would tell him, and then he'd just take off running. I don't know, it was just a weird kind of situation, you know. But
anybody else here have direct bullying by another member of the tribe? Sugar, well, yeah, Sugar.
Who was it, JT?
He still hasn't stopped.
Oh, really?
Like 12 years.
Oh, Corinne.
Like Sandra.
Randy?
No, I don't care for. I mean, Randy and I are fine. Whatever.
I like Randy.
Randy is sweet. Like, Randy's made up with me as soon as, like, the next time I saw him. Like, he didn't make up with me. He was just like, give me a kiss for the camera. Like, let's take a picture kissing. And like, he does it every time we see each other, so people know that we don't hate each other. Unless he's just like showing it to people saying, look how many times I got her to kiss me, even though I hate her. I don't know. I think we don't dislike each other. I love Randy, but I don't really know how he feels about me.
Did you see Corinne on The Amazing Race?
I did, actually, because Rachel was on it. So I was just like, hope Rachel lasts longer. That's all.
Let's just say poor sport would be a good term for that. But now, Tanya, I wanted to come.
I don't know how I feel.
Tanya, I want to come over to you. Now, obviously, you were off shortly, you know, which is, you know, a shame, a big shame, and all that stuff. But one thing I must say that I have rejudged people a little bit more past the time I met you originally, that first time at Hearts, is that, you know, you have become, you're like one of the biggest sweethearts of all the people, you know, at Hearts. Everybody loves you. You know, there's like, I've never heard a bad word about you, kind of thing. Yeah, but the thing I'm leading towards is, had you been able to make it past your malaria stuff, how much of a chance do you really think that you had to make it not only far in the game, but to win? Honestly, with your personality, I think you would have won that season.
Thank you. It's cool to hear like my tribe mates talk about it, because they say, hey, like we only voted her out because she was sick. Like we loved her. And so Helen has said Helen would have got voted out that night, because they, like, a bunch of them told me, like, if you weren't sick, Helen would be gone. And so like, and you know, she made it all the way to the end, you know, like to the final four. So I do think I would have made it really hard, like really far. I think it would be hard to beat Brian, because Brian was really a master at manipulating. But I don't know. I think I could have hung in there had it went that way. And I, like Nalia was talking about how being young, and, for me, I felt like, even though I wasn't as young as she was, I felt kind of naive. Like now today, in today's game, I would probably be a lot more sassier than I was back then, because I was kind of like taken off guard and just trying to, I'm always sweet, like, but I'm feisty. So like you might see more of that if I were to play today, like than back then. Like, you would probably make more moves than you would when you're younger. So it would be fun just to see how you do, like to have another opportunity. But I do think I would have had a good shot if I hadn't have been sick, allergic to the malaria medicine.
Yeah, I agree.
I totally agree with that. You're like such a likable person. You're still so involved with everything too. So I think you would have made it a lot further.
Tanya gave me this, and I use it, Tanya, when I send off my little autograph cards. I seal the envelope like
I love it.
I use
It's just Sandra with a crown.
Nice. That's actually, let's see here. Lex, you gave me the necklace. I'm not wearing it right this moment because the strap broke, but you gave me the necklace, which I wear that thing like all the time. Practically, sorry, second I'm not. And Leaf, you gave me some shells from the beach and all that kind of stuff after, driving you to the airport and things like that. These things, I cherish these things. These things are great. They're sitting in my, they hold a place up on high for me, So thank you for the both of you on that. Leaf, question for you. I think I asked you this when we did our drive, actually, but I wondered, out of curiosity, being one of the only little people, or the only little person to actually play Survivor, obviously there'll be some extra challenges in the physical and the actual challenges themselves, but was there anything outside of the challenges that you found was more of a challenge for you in the game?
Well, on our season, like they didn't have any water challenges because I think like one or two of our players couldn't even swim. I was really, really disappointed in that, and I was also really disappointed that they like took out Exile Island right for our season. They went back to normal. I was like, oh, like really? Like I just missed. And I don't know. I also like just the whole getting on the show and actually stepping on the beach and becoming a survivor. Like I was just way blown away by how I actually made it, and to actually just set foot on the beach, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like almost like a scared little kid too. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm here. Oh, what do I do? Ah!
Don't be first out.
I know, yeah, that's all you tell yourself. That's all you tell yourself. Don't be first out, because that's what matters the most.
That was my theory.
Do you think there was any not connection, any challenge in your social game just because your stature, or
I mean, I was just trying to play a game where everybody, like, I would just try and be friends with everybody, and because I mean that's what try and just get you further in the game.
But did they see you as an equal? Like, did you feel?
There's a few times where I was trying to make some moves, and it felt like they didn't really want to go with whatever my idea was, but they did. But they, it was weird, but
gotcha.
It was
understood. Now, Sandra, again, I haven't kept you for last for any particular reason, obviously, just because you're the multi-season, you're the face of Survivor. You're the one with.
Tell you, hold on, it's been a blessing because I never expected for real, like after playing my first time to ever get called back again, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like I never expected 17 years later to still be, getting a call. So definitely, it's a blessing when it does happen. But what was your question? I just want to throw that out there.
No, I'm just you've been playing so long, and again, you're the idol. I mean, you and Rob, the only ones that have those giant idols and all that kind of thing. And
that didn't help in Winners at War when everyone's staring at them.
Did they let you take that home, Sandra?
Crazy. Those things went out there on 5 barges, and that's why they were still up when we were doing pre-game interviews for Winners at War. They shouldn't have been up there, but they still were. So that did not help.
Are they still out there? Are they still up?
One person said they weren't. Another person said they are because they can't just take them down. It was all metal. All metal.
1,000 years from now, there's Easter Island.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I was told, Sandra, and we can find out from the fans, but anyway, they were like, Sandra, when you have your great grandkids, you can take them out there because those damn things will still be there.
But when the apes eventually take over, it won't be the Statue of Liberty. It'll be your face that they ride by.
Right?
I thought they found all that material like on the beach to make all that stuff.
No, they were made by the people that do things for Game of Thrones. And we went to LA and I spent hours on this chair that rotated really, really slow.
Oh my God.
And, to get my angles at, I had to look in different, to get a different angle.
That's crazy.
Sent over to Australia for them to build it. And then I was told it came on 5 barges because the head was 1 barge by itself. The shoulders, because it was 24 feet tall, was a barge by itself. And then the actual machine that took them and put them. So the 2 shoulders, his and mine, the 2 heads, and then the machine. They spent a lot of money on that stuff. And you just light it up. I mean, they were made of metal.
Hey, Sandra, I have a question about that season, actually. So why do you think, was it all in the editing, the fact that everybody came out to see you and everybody came back and pretended like nobody saw you?
No, okay, so what we kept on telling them all the time was that what happens at Island of the Idols stays on Island of the Idols. Why would you give someone information about what happens there? Information is power. And then are they going to use this against you? Do they feel like now you have a better shot than them because you've come out to Island of the Idols? So why not do what everyone else is doing and stay quiet? And if you do discuss it with someone that's been out there. Why would you go and tell Leaf and Tanya what's going on at Island of the Idols? Now those 2 are going to get together and be like, well, what if she got an idol? What if she got an advantage? What if she got this, that, and the third? So everyone pretty much kept it quiet until Elaine, towards the end, told Lauren and Tommy, and that's why Lauren decided to come. But it was a secret for a long time, and me and Rob tried to figure out how long it was going to stay a secret, and we tried to push it to stay a secret, which we did for a long time.
Yeah, I was just really curious if people actually knew that or not, because as everybody kept coming out, nobody was coming back to camp talking about how they saw you guys.
And we also told them that every single person's experience there would be different, which it was because the lessons were different. Right. But I think they understood, like, maybe one day we'll only meet Sandra, one day it'll only be Rob, or one day it'll be nobody. So why put that out there, And everyone was just saying there were 2 totems. They didn't say who the totems were. There's a male totem and a female totem, and that was it. They never put, oh, it's Sandra and Rob totems, So everyone, I think, was pretty much scared to tell the truth about what was happening there. And also they were hoping to come back again a second time. So if you have an opportunity to come back 2 times, why would you go and tell someone that might now want that opportunity, You don't say anything.
How hard was it to stay quiet during tribal council when they would make moves and stuff and you could watch them and they didn't know you were there?
I love the Seafoots.
I feel like I would have been like cracking up and stuff.
Oh, like one time I sneezed in there a couple of, but see, the thing was that the cameras were all underneath us. So if anybody made noise, they probably thought it was coming from everyone underneath us.
Gotcha.
Did you say, I think you told me it was super cramped up there.
I found out about the next season about 10 days before Island of the Idols finished. Jeff asked me and Rob together at the same time, hey, would you guys be interested in returning and playing in the next season? And I said,
my God.
Together. Okay.
And Rob said no right away. And me and Rob never talked about it after that. Never.
Okay. I was wondering about that.
Great. Any other questions that you guys have for your colleagues here, your fellow contestants?
I just want to tell Sugar her little girl is adorable, and I love seeing them on Facebook. Punky is so cute.
Thank you.
She is cute.
I second that.
She's really cute.
I always tell her
My world.
And I still love the name.
Adorable.
But I gotta go, guys.
TV show's coming back. I saw the pilot redo.
Bye, guys.
Hopefully
Hopefully we'll do this again, guys. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Great hearing you guys.
Hi. And speaking of that, we've actually gone ways over what the was. But what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap up here. I'm going to turn off the live stream on Facebook and the recording and stuff. I'll leave this up if you guys want to chat for any reason. But the main thing is I want to bring up here, and this will be available for people to watch afterwards as well, is that again, this is for Hearts, for Hearts of Reality, but to support Give Kids the World. Again, you have all been there, you have all experienced it, and it's an amazing and fantastic charity. And I work with Omar a lot to get these things going. Over the years, you guys have donated auctions for Skype calls, and now you're participating here and all this, and it means a huge thing to me. This is friends getting together and chatting, but it's also helping to hopefully helping to raise money for the charity and everything. And it's just really, really nice that you guys are still so active and still so friendly and still so open to helping as every time I ask. It's been I've raised in the last 5 years approximately, well, if you put in this year's total, probably a little over $20,000, for Hearts and things and for Give Kids the World. And so, but it's you guys that do it. It's just me being the annoying pest and pestering you and bugging you and saying, please.
Jason, you need to give yourself more credit because you raise more. You raise more than most of the survivors do for this charity, and you deserve a lot more credit than you're giving yourself.
Yes, sir.
It's me and Omar. Omar really helps me out a lot too. Omar is the one that really gets these auctions going and things. I just get you people together and then say, hey, here's the auctions. But yeah, thank you, Lily. I appreciate that. I just want to do everything I can for these kids because it's such a great place. And the people that haven't been there, people that have not experienced it, really are need to. It's just, it opens your eyes to what some of these children are going through, and it's both heartwarming and really, really sad at sometimes too. But it's more heartwarming than anything else to see all these people helping out and giving these kids these wishes and these wonderful experiences, when it matters the most and things.
Well, and the cool thing about Hearts of Reality too is 100% of everything that Jason is raising and 100% of what we're all raising goes directly to the kids. So nobody takes a cut out of any of this money. So give Jason your money, people, because it goes to a really good place, and 100% of it goes to the charity.
Yeah. Well, so 94 cents of every dollar is a great ratio. And that's what the actual, all the money goes to Give Kids the World, but their ratio, you look at some of the other charities where the ratio might be 50-50 or 60-40, 94 cents of every dollar is directly into making kids' dreams come true. The rest of it's overhead stuff. So that's an amazing ratio compared to a lot of charities. It's one of the best.
Yeah. And isn't it something like 80% of Make-A-Wish kids want to go to Florida and Orlando and experience all of that? It's a really high number.
Well, I hear a lot of these kids.
Tanya's been doing this since the very beginning, and she has raised so much money. She has done such a great job.
Thank you. It's worth it. I'm sad this year that the kids won't be at the event, because they're closed right now. But I feel like it's going to be an amazing time. Omar's been really working on it. We may have a venue change, but it's going to be awesome. So if you haven't signed up, I know they have. Huh?
You guys are still doing it?
No.
Yeah.
For the summer?
Currently it's on.
August.
I'm going to catch you in California in December.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Sidra, thank you for bringing that up. There's actually 2 Hearts of Reality events this year. So there's one that's August 6th through 8th in Orlando, which is where it normally is. Except Tanya, like you're saying, there's going to be a venue change. I've been chatting with Omar a little bit. There's a venue change for something really awesome. And the other thing is in December, I'm not sure on the dates yet, but in December they're doing one in Los Angeles as well. So he's doing 2 this year. So raise more and more, and especially now again when the kids really need it because they're struggling with the pandemic stuff going on.
And it's better and easier like that because you have the crew that's already in the California area. It's more accessible to them than flying all the way. Sometimes people just don't want to get on those airplanes and fly all the way to Orlando for 3 days.
Yeah.
So
it might be decent temperature too.
During a pandemic.
California one is going to be pretty successful. There was already a lot of people.
Before the pandemic, they were already planning it after the finale of Winners at War was supposed to be in May.
Yeah, right. Oh, I was going to go to that, but both my kids were supposed to graduate from college, and they both got their things canceled on them. So it's crazy, man.
Are you doing California, Nina? Nina? Nina, are you doing California?
I am. Yes, I already told Omar I was doing California, so I am definitely going to be there.
I kept pestering him on that.
Come out.
Great, but anyhow, so let's wrap up here. Again, I from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for your time. Thank you all for your friendship. Thank you for everything. You guys are fantastic. And you've provided so much entertainment over the years and everything. But also, just like I said, it's just good to be together with you guys and chat with you and have such a this is a fun little meet and hearing all these stories and seeing you guys all talk. It's a blast.
Roger.
Thank you for getting us together, Jason.
James, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Seeing everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye. Good to see your faces.
Take care.
I'm gonna turn off the
Bye.
Facebook feed and then the record. Okay, so let me
I
stop.
gotta figure out how to turn this
Like,
off.
turn it. Can I turn it off?
I gotta figure this out.